People say no, they will think they're taking urine.
No.
They don't celebrate.
What I think is it doesn't matter.
No,
we don't know how far this will go. I can't do that for anybody.
They know we are drinking pure water. Rainwater without liquor.
But we are drinking water.
I know they will say you are too poor. You can't even like
we cannot tell how far this will go.
I understand.
My age.
I understand.
So,
I understand. Thank you.
Yeah. Very nice.
Is it safe to take this chair up?
Yeah. If we have somebody who comes in, and then we can just look for it to sneak it in.
What of this other man, Jonathan?
He will join us. He's already in line. Your DN is what?
Dominic, is it not?
Yeah, Dominic Okechukwu.
I'm drinking children syrup. I like syrup. I have cold.
Okay, it's okay. It's okay. So you might have to take a higher dose.
When it's okay, so that I don't cough when I'm talking to you.
Okay.
It's safe to have this mic for you. That one for sorry, do you mind that?
I don't. Okay, then. Let me know when you want me to roll. Okay. That's the number one camera. Okay. Is okay. Okay. That's my camera. Okay, but this camera is a camera. Okay. 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 It's okay. So that's the one they should focus on. Okay. It's all right. Okay. 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 Just be comfortable. You can look into any of the camera. What a glorious day. Sorry. Set with us. And he asked me, are we just going to allow 60 years of 15th of January to pass without doing anything? That struck me like a dart in the heart. I became restless and started consulting. And what you have here is the result of that consultation. But I'd like you to know a bit about the Apostolic Roundtable. Apostolic Roundtable is a platform that presents the church as a spiritual nation within a secular state, called to build society through the unity of ministry gifts rather than denominational rivalry. Drawing from the Antioch model and apostolic collaboration, it emphasizes prophetic insight joined with sound teaching to shape national conscience, address societal crises, and influence policy without the pursuit of theocracy. By fostering communion among Christian leaders, art equips believers to function as salt and light, contributing ethically, intellectually, and spiritually to nation building while respecting secular governance, so that Africa, beginning with Nigeria, may fulfill its God-given destiny through responsible Christian engagement in public life. It is important that we understand the perspective of the usage of the word apostle. The apostle in biblical and church context. The Greek word apostolos means one who is sent with authority. In careful and narrow church usage, an apostle is not merely anyone who is sent, but a divinely commissioned representative entrusted with a foundational responsibility. Please take note of the word foundational responsibility. In contemporary church understanding, an apostle is best described as a Christ-sent leader recognized by the church who pioneers, establishes, and provides oversight for gospel work beyond a single local congregation. Such apostles do not invent doctrine or wield supreme authority. Rather, they guide doctrine, equip leaders, strengthen churches, and extend the mission of Christ. Apostolic understanding applied to the marketplace of life. While the office of the apostle is ecclesial, the apostolic nature of being sent transcends church walls. It sends the governors. Most importantly, is the sending authority of every city. Citizenship, therefore, is not merely a birthright linked to a birthplace, but a constitutional definition. Bypass or subvert constitutional order. Where a constitution is flawed, the nation and its people inevitably reflect that flaw. In the same vein, we speak of an who is thrilled by the title. Marketplace apostles do not require titles. Their authority flows from 1, the constitution, competence, character, and fruits. They are recognized by impact, not labels. The foundational laying responsibility excuse me, of the apostolic ministry. Apostles are builders, and they establish values that outlive them, create environment where others flourish, shift culture to not merely individuals. They shift culture, not merely individual, and think generationally rather than transitionally. A clear example of an example in the context of our nation is Professor Dora Akunyili, whose groundbreaking leadership at NAFDAC, recognized and recommended at the highest level of government, was unmistakably apostolic in nature. Guardrails. What apostolic nation building is not. Apostolic nation building or nation builders are not self-appointed, not domineering over institution or sector. They are accountable. He asked me if I have met Dr. D.N. Okechukwu, Dominic Nemeka Okechukwu. And I said, no. Then he asked me, who then have you met on the subject of the 1966 coup? Ladies and gentlemen, we have with us on this set this evening a man who has done so much in research, a man who has traversed the length and breadth of this country on several times, meeting victims and meeting actors of what went down on the 15th of January. Is the man in the red cap. And I need not tell you that beyond the name, it represents a people that are not acting victim, a people that will need to understand their pain, a people that will need to understand the grievances that the coup has left them with. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to have with us Dr. D.N. Okechukwu, who will take the floor and relive the story of the coup based on the research that he has done. Dr. D.N. Okechukwu, you are welcome to the Apostolic Roundtable.
So happy to be in this program, and I'm glad that this is happening on this memorable day, the 15th day of January 2026, 60 years in remembrance of the great and painful event, unfortunate event of January 15, 1966. He has introduced me, but there's something he didn't mention. One of the things he didn't mention about me, I'm the convener of Forum for National Restoration and also National Reconciliation and Restoration Movement. Both organizations are completely dedicated to healing the wounds that were inflicted on the nation and on Nigerians and the direct victims in particular of 1966 events. When I mean 1966 events, I speak about 1966 events. I'm talking about January 15th coup, the July 29th coup, and then 1967 event, which is the Civil War. These three events has continued to dictate the pace of movement of Nigeria. And I feel that except we rally ourselves together as a nation and address the ghost of these events, Nigeria will not move forward. We must confront the ghost of 1966 and the Civil War and confidently bury them for this nation to move forward. Virtually every other thing that happened in Nigeria is traced back to the catalyst event, which is the January 15th coup. That is the first of the three major events. Why is it a watershed in the history of Nigeria? It was a time that violence became the defining mark of settling our differences, of settling our constitutional issues. Prior to then, many people may not know that we have had major differences, but our leaders managed them quietly. Very serious one. During the course of my research, I discovered that in 1950 at a Bado conference, constitutional conference, the North made certain demands, and the East and the West were not ready to take those demands. They threatened for secession. We're hearing about secession today. We didn't know it has always been there. In 1953, there was also a major event. Chief Anthony Nehru moved for independence of Nigeria. The North also, they were not prepared then. And then when they were going home, they were bored at train stations, and they were made jest of. And they threatened secession. It was a constitutional issue. Nigeria managed it. In 1954, the Western region at Lagos Constitutional Conference insisted, Chief Awolowo insisted that secession clause should be included in the Nigerian constitution. Both Zik, the leader of NCNC, and Sir Ahmadu Bello, the leader of MPC from the North, they refused and said there's no room for inclusion of secession clause. These were major constitutional issues, but our leaders managed it by compromise. Then coming down again, I also want to let us know that there was a very volatile constitutional issue after the parliamentary election of December 1964, federal parliamentary election. In fact, the election was boycotted in the East, partly boycotted in the West, and when the result came out, the president then, Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe, refused to swear in the prime minister, Sir Abubakar Tafawa Balewa. And Nigeria was more or less without a leader. The leaders gathered together, everybody, the GOC of Nigerian Army, Christopher Everand, he advised on who the army should take instruction from in case of breakdown of law and order. Zik consulted the Ademola Adetokunbo, our great jurist then, and a whole lot of other people were consulted. And at the end, it was so relieving to know that our elders allowed wisdom to prevail. They took the advice and decided that they will not break the constitutional direction of Nigeria. When Dr. Akin was speaking, he was talking about that in apostolic leadership, it's the constitution that sent even the president. And everything I'm going to speak here today will be anchored on the constitution of Nigeria. Once the rule of law is negated or broken, we are heading into abyss. No matter how bad it is, we must stick. Even though it was obvious to so many people believed then that the election was rigged. But Zik had to follow what the law says. And he called the prime minister early in January and congratulated him, and they made some compromise, and he was sworn in. That is a great one for Nigeria. We can always solve our problem through compromise, through negotiation, through horse trading, through give and take. Then come January 16th, 1966, when very young soldiers that I can say they are largely inexperienced, they took it upon themselves to vent their anger on the nation, to solve the problem of Nigeria through their own youthful imagination by forcefully taking over the leadership of Nigeria. Not only taking over the leadership of Nigeria, they went a step further to soak the flag of this nation with the blood of our innocent leaders who were working on their lines of duty. Nigerian Constitution says that everybody, even an accused caught in a crime, remains innocent until he is duly convicted in a court of competent jurisdiction. And before then, he remains innocent. That's what our law says. But these other young men, they had their reasons for the coup, which is maybe for another time. And whatever reason they had, the question now is, shedding the blood of the leaders, is it enough? Whatever reason they had, is it enough for what they want to achieve? So the January 15 coup brought a horrible dimension to the Nigerian crisis. They did not only shed the blood, but the manner that these people were killed left a lot to be desired. And that was why controversy followed what happened. One of the strongest controversy is the more or less perceived one-sided nature of the killing that took place on that day. And that has continued to hurt us. Many people felt offended. And to make the matter worse, after the incidents took place, still our constitution was violated again. It was violated again. And how was it violated? The government that took over did not also do the right thing based on the constitution to handle the situation. So we now went down the slope. I think I will stop at this point now. And as time goes on, I will bring in other things. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Okechukwu. On the Zoom, we have Da Jonathan Sunday Akuns, and I want him to have the floor. Da Jonathan Sunday Akuns, let's have your thoughts on 1966 to 2026, 60 years of the coup that sent us into the wood, and we have been finding our path since then. Over to you, sir.
Federalism as the basis of governance. The act of that federalism however, by a single struggle of some citizens in 1966, that seat, that label became a body upon the citizens and the country
A rather very brief one from Dar Jonathan Sunday Akuns. Dar Jonathan Sunday Akuns will be followed by another speaker right here in the studio with us who has done extensive work on constitutional reform. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome with me, Dr. Akin Fapohunda.
Thank you very much. Good day to you, viewers. 60 years ago, there was a coup in Nigeria. But many young people who were not old enough that time, just look at that moment. They never thought about the 1962 to 1965 period of Nigeria. The coup came about as a result of very bad conduct of the leaders in those days. And the officers who took to help correct things, they made the mistake of execution, but no one at that time was alive who fought their nationalism and their wish for Nigeria to be better. People will not remember that 64 elections brought Operation Wet here, especially in Western Region. People were being killed on a daily basis. Houses were being burnt all over. In fact, the country grounded virtually the whole for 2 years, 1964 to 1965. The only people who felt agree about that coup will be our brethren Fulani in the north. The Yorubas are not agreed at all. They saw the coup as an avenue of liberation. I was told enough. I jubilated in the streets of my town in Osun State that the coalition of our brethren S.L. Akintola to form NNA with Balewa and with Sardauna was not in the interest of the Yorubas, absolutely. Taking life is precious. But up to today, S.L. Akintola is not revered in Yoruba land for his role in what happened towards the coup. Unfortunately, the North Fulani might feel victimized by the coup, but the Yorubas, the coup was an avenue for liberation. And there is no apology for it at all in Yoruba land. I must be able to say so. That mistake was made in 1966 of not doing a comprehensive punishment of people who were tormenting Nigeria. And it's not even Zogu who made the mistake. In my opinion, it's Ife Joanna who didn't do his own properly. All other members were altruistic in their feeling to clean Nigeria of people who are not doing what is right. That's just the point. But once something happens, revolution is very costly. Once you start a revolution, you lose control. Nigeria lost control of our affairs in 1966, and we have not recovered. The challenge now is that we have not learned the lesson of that day, that bad conduct as a matter of public policy, victimization, rigging of elections, falsification of census, all those issues have not been resolved up till now. 1962 census was falsified, was rigged. Election 1964 was also rigged. I was an eyewitness to the rigging. People put ballot boxes as if a woman is pregnant. They will load ballot papers and make as if a woman pregnant. They go and put it in the box. These are not all good conducts. But we are still doing the same up to today. So when I have the chance, I will give, okay, this coup happened. What has been the aftermath? Have we learned our lessons? We have not. In fact, where we are today is exactly the way we were in 1965. I'm not praying for any coup because coup cannot predict the end. But leaders now, they are deaf and dumb. All they want to just to get office and be sharing money. They don't care about the people. It was the same in 1965. It is now in 2026. All they want is electoral power to control their affairs, to award contracts, to give oil that they are interested in. Are we going to learn a lesson from it? I pray we shall. Let me stop at this point.
Thank you so much, Dr. Akin Fapohunda, an apostle of constitutional reform. Everywhere you see him, he has just one message preaching: the need for us to sit down and for us to dignify the office of the citizens of the Federal Republic of Nigeria by coming together to affirm whether we subscribe to this Constitution, 1999 Constitution as amended, or there's a need for us to truly say, by the people of Nigeria, to confer that legitimacy or the chronicle that we can refer to proudly to as the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Now, you have heard it, and I will take it back to Dr. D.N. Okechukwu. The narrations were beautiful. Sir, based on your consultation, interaction, engagement, research, what would be your advice to Nigerians at this point in time? Dr. Fapohunda said 1965 preceded 1966, and that we are where Nigeria was in 1965. Somehow we have escaped 2025, but shall we escape 2020?
Very good one. History repeats itself. But history repeats itself only when history is not properly acknowledged and the lessons of the history is not taken cognizance of. Winston Churchill, the great British Prime Minister, he said, the further backward you look, the further forward you will see. Before I address the issue of 2026, 2027 that we're approaching, I want to go back to history. And in anything you do, I'm a scientist, I'm a medical doctor by profession. I always tell people that work with me, what is the basis for whatever you're doing? Anything that does not have any basis, no matter how successful it appears, you should be careful about it because you may not be able to replicate it. There must be a foundation. And that's why I'm reverting back again to the issue of the constitutional order. I still want to say, whatever happens in a nation, the constitutional order must be respected. Leaders, executives, legislators, judiciary, they may decide to misbehave as human beings. But each misbehavior should help us to know that we have lacunas that we can strengthen in our constitution. It mustn't be a recipe for anarchy. What happened in 1966, from every angle I've looked at it, is not something that should be celebrated in any way. From my own perspective and research, I found out. I gave some precedents when I spoke earlier on about some constitutional issue that we had, and it was resolved. From the research I did, in one of the work documented by one of the authors, in fact, it was said that in the night that Tafawa Balewa was killed, the Prime Minister, he was already preparing a speech he would make on the 17th, Monday being 17th of June 1966, to declare a state of emergency in the Western region, which was also done before, when Akuns was made the administrator. premier of a region in his own house, for whatever reason, it is completely unacceptable. It is shedding of innocent blood, and this nation is still paying for that up to today. So what I'm just saying now is, look, no matter what the current political actors are doing, let's not negate what the Constitution says. They will not rule forever. No matter the shenaniganism that we're seeing, it is for a while. Let's still hope there's a God that rules over a nation. And somehow, if we wait and follow the law, because the law we make, we have the Bible, we have the Quran, but our Constitution is supreme. When I mean is supreme, that is what God respects us with. There will be intervention. So I will not encourage the young generation to go and take law into their hand and start shedding blood or going against what the Constitution says. Let us follow the law. Several nations that have celebrated their democracy, it's not that they were not having problem, but they made up their mind that they will follow their laid down constitution, and in no matter the kind of crisis that they face. India is an example. I remember when the Prime Minister was shot dead, and the country still continued. So what the politicians are doing today and how the nation is going is a painful one, but let us not go against the law of the nation. And let's not encourage the younger ones. If you look back and look at what has happened before, there's really no reason why we should live such level of pain. Throughout today, I spent most of today speaking to the family of the victims. You can't imagine that 60 years after, I spoke with Sholape and the family, the daughter of Ademoleko. And they are Yorubas. The pain is still very palpable. I read the documentary of Fani Kayode. His father was arrested, but he was not killed. The pain is still so much in his heart. From the documentary I read, I listened to that he made on the event that happened that day. I've spoken with James Yakubu family. I spoke with several Okotiebo family. I've spoken with all of them today. There's none of them that is smiling. It is not just Fulani. They are Christians. They are Southerners. I've also spoken with my Malari family today. All of them are, everybody is still carrying the pain. And that's why we are setting out to look. Let the record be set straight. Let what was done wrong be completely and generally be condemned. Evil is evil, no matter where it is coming from. It doesn't know ethnicity, it doesn't know religion. And if we don't condemn evil, evil will keep on repeating. Younger generation must know that bloodshed is not a way to settle scores in this nation. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so much. I will allow Dr. Akin Fapohunda to react to Dr. Okechukwu.
Thank you very much. My brethren, I like his passion, but let's face reality. This last year, there was a coup attempt. It was announced. Nothing has happened about it. He could have succeeded too. This last year, almost 30 officers are under detention now. Nobody's talking about it. Fundamentally, 62 to 65 was a time when the polity was shaking and shaking. Balewa and Co. They were immune, they were numb, they were enjoying themselves in the polity. Only 3 years of impunity reigning in Nigeria then, so soldiers struck. But since 1999, we have been living with impunity of the politicians. People have been claiming, asking for restructuring of the politics in 1999. The political class, they have ignored that request. They refuse to do anything. If the coup of 2025 succeeded, what are we talking now? Are we going to blame anybody if the coup succeeded? Fundamentally, my brethren, my uncle, Senator Femi Okuromu, who was the agitator of the 2014 conference, with the quest to reform Nigeria, just made the release 2 days ago, saying that restructuring is no longer necessary. The country should be divided into separate nations. We are not one nation, we are one country. If somebody of the caliber of Senate, I have the paper in my hand. After he has made effort to say, let us restructure, let us rearrange, let us do something, and he led the confab in 2014. The political class ignored 2014 confab. They ignored El Rufai report on constitution. They are going on now to run elections where you spend 1 billion to become a governor. My brother can be talking about Mamalare, talking about Shode and okay, yeah. There are many Nigerians who are nameless, who are suffering pains now. Don't let us talk about some big names. Very young people who are suffering now, people who are in IDPs. Why must somebody be on IDP for 2-3 years? And the government doesn't care. They just pay $9 million now to do PR, that there is no killing in Nigeria. That's impunity. They're giving oil blocks. Nigerian wealth was privatized and given to individuals. Nigeria is borrowing money now, while individual Nigerians have oil well, oil block to themselves. And they are becoming billionaires before our very eyes. Somebody is having 753 houses built for himself in Mayfield. It's on record. It's on record. People cannot pay rent in Abuja. A 2-bedroom house is 4 million. Somebody built 73 houses from government money. Wike has a limousine, $1 million. These are impunity. It has to be cured by something. I don't know what it will be. It has to be cured. Fundamentally, the architect of 2014 confab has now come out to say, to your tents, O Israel. It's fundamental. The present government, who is where I come from, can choose to ignore the cry and just be going around the world looking for investors. But the country is not at ease. If Balewa responded 3 weeks earlier, there would not have been coup. They were writing speeches. The same, we don't know what will happen in 2026 now, next month. We don't know what will happen. If you delay action fundamentally, you think you're going to, until after 2027 elections, and I will do something, I will restructure. Do you know what will happen next month? Mm-hmm. You don't know what will happen next month. So, but they were dilly-dallied. He want to declare emergency in the Western region second time to oppress Yorubas, to oppress Awolowo and the action group. Would that have been best? So Tinubu now is bringing everybody to be under APC. He's saying no one nation, no one party. It's impunity everywhere. The solution to anything of January 16, 1966 is to act now. By May, there should be a new constitution for Nigeria. By October 1, we should proclaim that constitution. We should do election based on a differentiated country where there's some freedom. All the borrowing should stop. All the impunity should stop. All elections for governor, Wike, Fubara, all of them. Osun State is strangulated now because local government money is not being paid to the government. There are so many strands of impunity that ordinary to say all is well, Nigeria is united. I don't subscribe to it, absolutely. If you don't act, we are going to have Balewa effect where he was writing a speech for 17th and the coup took place on the 15th. That's a good lesson of history for whoever is listening to us in this forum now. It's the only antidote against violent action. You must act preventively. That would be good. Thank you very much, Moderator.
Thank you so much, Dr. Akin Fapohunda. Still online with us via the Zoom is Jonathan Sunday Akuns, the Galadima Dafo. I want to quickly reference my note. I said, in the context of nation building, the Constitution functions as the supreme sending authority. It sends the president, it sends the legislature, it sends the judiciary, it sends the governor. Most importantly, it sends each and every one of us as citizens of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Respecting your sense of history and your commitment to constitutional reform, Jonathan Sunday Akuns, what do you think is the way forward from where we are? Thank you.
We need to, first of all, identify the 4 key issues that turn the memory of the labors of our founding fathers into a burden. First, the events of 1966. Death of civil governance from elected officials by military, by force, and by violence. That has been resolved. The polity has been demilitarized. From 1999 to date, it's been civil rule. That has been resolved. The second major issue was the 1963 Republican Constitution was suspended by Decree 1 of 1966 by the military. That Constitution, as we speak today, remains in suspension. Therefore, meaning that between 1966 to date, governance in Nigeria has been done without a constitution, but simply by purpose-specific laws that were enacted along the line, either by the military, by way of military decree, or even the stints that we had with civilian administration between 1979 and 83 by parliamentary acts, or the ongoing civil governance from 1999 to date by parliamentary acts. So, given that governance has been without a written constitution, we really need to return to constitutional governance in Nigeria. The third issue that happened, Nigeria was founded on the basis of federalism as the basis of governance. But the 1963 Constitution that carried the tenets of federalism was abolished by Decree number 32 of 1966. As we speak today, we are now operating a unitary system of government and not the federalism that was established and planted as a seed for unity in diversity. Therefore, from 1966 to date, governance has been by a system of unitary administration. The unity governance system has been the bane of this country. Therefore, the future of Nigeria depends on correcting those 3 outstanding issues. Leave the suspension that was placed on the 1966 decision that ethnic nationalities will decide. That would be the basis of true federalism, where those ethnic nationalities will constitute the federating unit, not what we have today. And that decision will come about through a national referendum and boundary adjustment. Some of the emergent federating units, some will be homogeneous, some will be heterogeneous. But it's not a question of size, but it's a question of intent. So until we correct the outstanding three issues, we will continue in the dark room or limbo of the burden of 1966 that turned the labels of our heroes past into a burden, which all the citizens carry today. And if I have the permission and time, and lots of time, I could show some slides that would depict those issues vividly and clearly for everyone to see. Thank you very much. I will move forward.
Thank you so much, Dad Jonathan Sunday Akuns. Maybe in the course of the program, we will allow you the opportunity to make presentation with regards to the slides that you have. For now, I want to appreciate those who are online with us. Dad Jonathan Sunday Akuns, the voice, and the picture that you have just seen via Zoom. We have also online Pastor Buba Johnson, who happens to be the Director of Conference for Apostolic Roundtable. Thank you for making our time to be there and for all that you did to pull this meeting through. We also have Gracious Akin, also a pastor and a media professional. We have the president of CDGN. CDGN, of course, is the Creative Designer Guilds of Nigeria, the brain behind all of those effects and great things that you see at the Nollywood. They had a creative arm of the Nollywood industry. Privileged to have the president of that guild with us, Mrs. Joy Osawaru Akiyemi. We have my kingdom sister here, Sister Obi Benjamin. Thank you for your time. We have Okechukwu Joseph. We have Roslyn Justice. We have Rosemary Nwogu. We have Stella Ifunaya Choko. And of course, we have another media professional here, Success Nwogu. And then we have a group, Yoruba Ref, also our guest. Thank you for staying tuned. And I want to assure you that the floor will be open and there will be opportunity for you to ask questions, make contribution as the case may be. I want to go back to Dr. D.N. Okechukwu. Doc, given your extensive work, the emotional reaction, the expressions that you have seen, will you see the need for a reconciliatory conference? Would that in any way help us to heal and to move on?
Yeah, from what I have gathered and from experience I've had, I must say that reconciliatory conference will help Nigeria greatly. Reason being that there are so many. Adolf Hitler, the great man of Germany, anyway, on the negative, he made a comment that when a particular narrative is repeated for a very long time, it becomes truth. So, and I want to say that there are so many wrong narratives about what has transpired in the past that have been repeated over time, and people have accepted that to be true. If somebody is feeling offended over an offense, and he really wants to let go, but they constantly seeing the offense or falsehood being relayed over what happened, over the incident that happened to him or her, that pain will hardly ever go. So truth is one of the best means to bring about reconciliation. Because when the truth is said, people get relieved. In the course of my going round, whenever I relay the true fact of what happened in January 15, in July 29, even the very offended, they get subdued. They will ask me, Doctor, where is the way out? I've traveled to meet the actors that are still living. I met virtually all of them one by one. I met the victims. And what the victim kept saying that they want to let go. But most of them, the lies being said about what happened to their heroes, their parents, are some of the things that is giving them so much pain. So I think strongly that national truth and reconciliation will go a long way to help. It's something that should be controlled, and that's what we are working through. We are developing a book that contains most of the fact of what happened. One of them is the one that I showed you. And if we get all the facts, if you watch Oputa panel, it was a very wonderful initiative by the President Obasanjo, but it ended up being a place where people were coming out to support what should not be supported, where people were not ready to own up to the truth. If it's a place where people can say the truth, we will be healed. There's no place I've gone. Initially, when I start talking, especially with some of the victims, the socio-cultural leaders, religious leaders, who either fell victim because somebody from their own area was involved. And initially they feel very bad. But when we begin to speak frankly, the next thing says, Doctor, where do we go? Ekaneme Oboronu, he was so happy the day we spoke. He said, I lost 3 people in that incident. Brigadier Zak Memalari from Boronu, his own emirate. Kuru Mohammed is from there. Aboge Legama is from there. He said, this is the beginning of the healing, bringing out, appreciating what we went through. James Pan family told me that the kind of pain they've suffered because of lies that have been told about their father, who did practically nothing. So I think that truth, said out of love, out of statesmanship, out of national, for the sake of national healing and unity, will help Nigeria. And thereafter, the leaders will hold their hand together and say, never again should we go this route. Never again should we draw blood of one another and dance over it. That's what happened in Nigeria in July 29, 1966. Neighbors were killing their neighbors. Friends were killing their friends. The sanctity of religious centers were not respected. People that ran in there were killed right inside religious centers because of grievances of what took place before. So I really feel that we need to get over this and move on. When we had a meeting with President Ibrahim Babangida, 25th of January last year, in his hilltop house, Babangida told me, said, Doctor, that if Nigeria does not do this, we are going nowhere. That other countries did it and they are better off, and we must do it to move forward. So I encourage us, Nigeria is not as bad as we are looking at it. No matter what our political leaders are doing today, it is still the worst. I would just say that the worst peace is better than the best violence. So let us find a way to still address issues based on constitutional order. It will help Nigeria. And I want to respond to that, Jacob. I don't know Jonathan. He said we have not been ruling with constitution. I didn't really quite understand that since 1963. 1963 constitution was suspended 17 January.
Sorry, Doctor. Before you go on to that,
okay,
I don't want to lose the thought of what you have presented.
Okay.
Now, if this reconciliatory meeting is of essence, what format are you going to recommend? What format should it take? Because from what Dr. Akin Fapohunda said, which we cannot
discontinence with him,
it's about the impunity.
The leadership of Nigeria should be involved in the reconciliatory process.
In a situation where the leadership is not interested, and this is of essence, should we keep waiting till the day when the leaders will be ready?
No, it must be seen that you have made every necessary step, taken every necessary step. put in the effort to bring them in. If they are not coming in, and you look at what the law says in the Constitution, are you permitted to organize a peace mission like a reconciliation movement in a nation without involving them? And if the Constitution permits it, which I think it does, so we can go ahead and organize ourselves. Even if it is a small scale, let's look at this, because some of the things that Dr. Akin Fapohunda said is very important. Do you know that during the course of such Truth and Reconciliation Conference, people will actually know where the problem started with, even though the soldiers took the wrong step by going against Constitution, because the leaders then neglected so many things, and young men decided to come up. The people now, such conference will warn the leaders today that, look, something like this resulted in, just like Dr. Akin said, resulted in the violence that we had before. We are not praying for it today, and I will not support violence for any reason. But it might make them to say, no, not under my own watch shall this happen.
Well, Dr. D.N. Okechukwu, thank you for your light.
To decide that in everything that we're going to do, there's a superior account. Let me give you an example. Alexander Madebo wrote in his book, Nigerian Revolution and Biafran War, is a very, very well-known book about the Civil War. He wrote there that Bobby Biko was with him. Lieutenant Bobby Biko was with him during the January 15th coup. In fact, he saw him in the morning of that coup. With Festus Ola Femihon. But going to the account of a superior person, and why do I call him superior person? He was directly involved. And that is Emmanuel Nwobosi. Emmanuel Nwobosi commanded the coup operation in Western region. He is the one that went and abducted Fani Kayode. He is the one that also exchanged gun with Akintola, or before he was killed. So he said that from Abeokuta garrison, where he was the commander of the 2nd Artillery Battery, that he picked Bob Ebiko, and Abubakar assisted him on that night. But Bob Ebiko did not know anything about that coup. He was involved. Madebo was not involved in the coup. So the account of the person who was directly involved is superior. Alabi Sima worked under Obasanjo in 3rd Marine Commando. His account cannot be superior to that of Obasanjo, who was the commander of that division. So those are how we check things. So if somebody now come and write something he doesn't have authority over, we will go for internal security of operation. In the north, Nzogu told them that they were going for Operation Damisa. It was a night military exercise they have been carrying. So they didn't even know they were going for coup. There's a hero that many people don't know about, Daramora Oyegoke. He was brought from Nigerian Military College and taken to, he was a gunner, taken to Samad Bello's house. And Zogu commanded him to open fire, artillery fire with Carl Gustav anti-tank gun, in the house of the premier. And he set the first bomb, the first volley of fires, and he refused to take order. He can't continue firing where civilians were in. Zogu shot him dead right and there. So he did not come as a person to come and carry out a coup. He wasn't involved in the planning. So we check through all the check and balancing to know what the truth is. So if you don't do that, you can run into trouble. So those are all the check and balancing we've done. I don't know whether you got my explanation.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dr. D.N. Okechukwu. And I'm so happy that somebody from the Nollywood industry is on the platform. Maybe we need to sit with you and run a theme of the 1966 account based on this superior protocol that has been set in place. I want Dr. Akin Fapohunda to say what he has on mind regarding that.
Thank you very much. What the work that my brother has been doing, very excellent. To just have closure to what happened in 1966, I support it superlatively. But we are here now to say, should what happened 64, 65, that led to the coup, which is happening before our eyes now in 2024, 2025, 2026, Should it repeat itself?
No.
So it was so small that time. The problem we have now is endemic. And this is a warning to the people who are senators, who are governors, who are fighting over godfatherism and godsonsonism now, that we can only prevent anything that happened in 1966 January by acting without further delay. And as Aminator said, someone like me, we have a clean draft of alternative to 1999 constitution already. I have it. We don't need to start going to any non-conference. I lived through this the last 30 years now. As an adult, I retired as a federal director in the year 2000, 25 years ago. So I have knowledge, but beyond that, I have a group called Rebirth Group, led by one Akin Fapohunda.
Sorry, the name of the group again.
Rebirth Group.
The Rebirth
Okay,
Group.
Rebirth. Okay.
They went around the 6 zones last year, holding mini conferences with all the 6 zones. They have a unanimous decision on what Nigeria should be. It is what the political class now should take. This their so-called amendment they do, and they spend 100 billion naira, saying they are doing public hearing. They want to amend constitution in 83 places. They want to create 60 more states. Is that not a joke? They need to take the work of the Rebirth Group by Oladejo seriously. The draft a small men are prepared. It's not rocket science. We need the constitution of Nigeria, no more than 30 pages, federal. Let each region that want to stand on its own go and do its own constitution. It's clear now that Nigeria is not one. The Northwest is a different tendency. We can't block them the way they want to run themselves. But they are not Yorubas of Southwest. They are not Ijos of South-South. And they are not Igbos of Southeast. The Middle Belt, even economically, the extreme north is agriculture. Middle Belt is solid minerals. South-South is crude oil. We have different endowments. By putting us in one basket, that is the gunpowder that is going to explode again to another 19, or I don't know, I'm not predicting it, but whether we like it or not, something must explode. In fact, with this tax regime that the current government has brought now, is a ticking time bomb. People in Wuse Market, people in Balogun, they don't pay taxes. And they have turnover, selling food, selling clothes. When you now bring them under taxation, it's only a civil servant that pay taxes to underpay. When you now bring the woman selling textile in Wuse Market, it's turning over almost 30, 40, 50 million, almost every quarter. You now start raiding the market to say, where is your tax record? Where, then that will be the gunpowder that will explode on everybody. If 10 million pay taxes before, you want to now make 50 million pay tax. That's the message of Oyedele. You want to bring more people in to pay tax. If you want to be palatable, you take tax of what you're selling clothes, selling food stuff in Wuse Market, and you start writing 5 convoy of SUVs on the road. Will it work? Operation Wait here will start again in this country.
Thank you.
People are warning against that. You need to reform the system. The stealing and the gluttony of the political class has to stop. They have to respond to people. How can somebody be taking loan, 500,000 to go to university? I went to UI free of charge. I didn't pay a couple. All Nigeria will now be indebted almost 3 million at graduation when there is no job. They said they are giving loan to students automatically. And the VCs will now spend the money too. They will eat the money, give it to them as a loan from students. Is that solution? So all the things I see, my friend, there are small people who suffer. Then all Nigerians are now suffering. And we need to look into their issues. We have to bring down government down. Orasari report said there are 750 parastatals. We need to bring it down to just 100. We don't need big government again. If you don't solve that problem, this is a warning to the nation. Prevention is better than cure.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Akin Fapohunda. I'm not sure you heard him, but I heard him clear and loud, and I underline that statement. All Nigerians are suffering now, and that is the ticking time bomb. God will help us to be able to arrest the situation. On the Zoom, before we open the contributions, those who want to say something, just put up your hand and let's know who want to make contribution. But for now, we want Dad Jonathan Sunday Akuns, who like the TRB, the Rebirth Group, TRG, has done a lot of work with the group formed by Pa Enahoro, MNR. They have done extensive work. A lot of, it's amazing what individuals and groups in Nigerians are doing. People committing themselves to wanting this country to be truly built. And unfortunate that those who constitute the leadership are not just looking at effort of Nigerians, are considering the effort to say, okay, if this is what our people want, why are we not going to look that way? I want to bring on Da Jonathan Sunday Akuns, the Galadima Dafo. Galadima Dafo is a little community in the Plateau State, precisely in a local government where I have visited after the 2023 massacre on the plateau. I visited quite a number of villages, and Dafo was one of them. And he is the Galadima royal father from that part of the world, a retired banker from the CBN at the director level, who has a wonderful sense of history. Sir, given the situation that we find ourselves, what is the way forward? How do we get the Constitution to work? How do we cut costs? One of the things that Dr. Akin Fapohunda said is that they will tell us the Constitution is going to cost us 1 billion, and the
election.
The Constitution, if we're going to reframe the Constitution, is going to cost. And Dr. Akin Fapohunda have said that there's no point going forward to the next election without a Constitution. He believes that a Constitution can be ready in 2 months, and then it can be proclaimed on the 1st of October. What is your take? What is your reaction? What do you think is the way forward?
Thank you very much. I totally agree with my elder, Dr. Fapohunda, that the Constitution can be done at the speed of thought. First, it is an existing law in Nigeria. It's only on suspension by a military decree. And maybe I would allow Dr. Okechukwu to ask the question you wanted me to clarify.
Okay.
So that I could focus on it, response. Would that be fine? Or we'll take it later?
Yeah, please, I think it would be nice I ask the question.
Please,
because,
go ahead.
The question, this Constitution was suspended in 1966, that's 63 Constitution, the parliamentary Constitution that we had. Sure, it was suspended in 17 January 1966 by the Ironsi regime. But I remember that when the Second Republic was coming, Obasanjo organized a constitutional conference, and we had 1979 Constitution, which is a federal constitution, so to say, even though that most people have said that it's basically a unitary system government, but in paper is a federal constitution. Is that one not a constitution? And I also know that Abacha also had his own constitutional conference, and which General Abdul Salam inherited and brought in 1999 Constitution that brought in the Third Republic. So are there no constitutions? So when we say Constitution is suspended, it's looking to me as if we have not been operating on a Constitution. It's still the same Decree 1 of 1966 that we're operating in up to today. So that's just what I want clarification, because I see that 79 and 99 as Constitution, and they are federal, and different from Constitution of 1963, which was a parliamentary form of Constitution that recognized the regions, and the federal recognized the states. So maybe he will give me an enlightenment on that area. That's the question.
Da Jonathan Sunday Akuns, over to you, sir.
Thank you very much. Let me say this very clearly. The 1963 Constitution emerged from the bottom-up democratic process involving a significant number of ethnic nationalities in Nigeria. First, starting with the Constitutional Conference in Ibadan on 9th January 1950. Two questions were posed by the Chief Secretary, by the Colonial Chief Secretary. The first question was, whether they need a unitary system of government or a federal system. The choice was obviously a federal system. The second question said, what form of federalism do you want? Based on linguistic groups that exist in Nigeria, or based on some, or based on the existing structure? The existing structure at that time was simply just northern region, western region, and eastern region, which are indeed not homogeneous. But homogeneous. So that became a question that has remained unanswered till today, another national question about governance in Nigeria. By July 21 to 26, 1963, that's another set of ethnic nationalities gathered in Lagos, our constitutional conference. They put it together, sent it to the National Assembly, the first National Assembly that emerged from the 1959 election, and they enacted it into the Republican Constitution. So the federalist tenet of that Constitution is what is of essence to us now. When it was set aside in 1966, a military decree. A military decree is a political process of managing political power that was usurped from civil authority by force and violence by the military. It's not a law. Take an example of Decree 24 of 1999. It's a proper-specific governing law. What is it about? To hand over power. Power to hand it over to civil authority. That decree is of no essence anymore. So, as far as possible, the 1966 Constitution, 63 Constitution remains in suspension. The way to go about it is the legislative process. Because it's an existing law. The Parliament would only need to repeal that decree, leave the suspension. Then repeal Decree 34 that abrogated the federal structure and introduced a unitary system of government. Yeah. Once you abrogate those two, you break out into public hearing, and ethnic nationalities will now do referendum. Yeah. Take the northern region. The European component that is in the northern region. They will just go for ethnic referendum. We want to move to our kinsmen who are here and there. But once it is approved, it has all of the recommended boundary adjustment. So at the end of the
I think we are losing the voice and picture Da Jonathan Sunday Akuns because of network. He's back, so let's continue to have his thought. Da Jonathan Sunday Akuns.
Okay. Remember, the federalist tenet or the federalism tenet that we talk about emerged from the 1648 Treaty of Westphalia, which introduced the concept of statehood and abrogated what existed before, the rulership of the emperor and the pope. From that position, it marked the concept of federalism as we practice it today. And it is simply the freedom and liberty of the local identity of autonomous residents over their land and their people. So once between 66 and they who have had governance without a written constitution, that's not a crime. The UK doesn't have a written constitution. But what we're saying is that given a heterogeneous, multi-ethnic culture, that exist in Nigeria, we will need to regroup ourselves. We will need to retrieve our consent to be together. That consent was never given by any other group in Nigeria from the beginning of colonial enterprise. Colonialism brought us together by war, by settler colonization practices, and by law. So that is the root. But somehow, our founding fathers accepted federalism as the basis for being together. And that is the seed of unity that we need to bring back. So, and I'd say, it is a legislative process. National Assembly will repeal Decree 1, repeal Decree 4, and then bring us to public hearing. I think nationalities can make their adjustment, and if that will be passed, it will go. And it would simply amount to embarking on the 5th Amendment of the 1963 Constitution that only lasted for 2 years, 3 months and 2 weeks before it was suspended by the military. The U.S. Constitution for 235 years has been amended only 27 times. So anything else done in constitutional conference, constitutional whatever by the military is running in the track of the military. That is not a democratic, that is not a Republican track, a democratic track. But the process of this parliamentary process will now bring about a melding on all those that have operated between 1996 today. The first amendment of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And we just carry on.
Thank you so much, Dad Jonathan Sunday Akuns.
We carry on using the UN model, where every federated unit will have a seat and a voice, or the EU model.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dad Jonathan Sunday Akuns. We've been on for well over 2 hours, and it's just of essence. It's important that we allow people on the trail, online, to ask questions. If you're asking questions, you have just a minute. Structure your question, put it together. If you want to just run a comment, you don't have more than 2 minutes to, to make your comment. I want us to be able to exhaust that before we come back to our speaker and panelists who will give their round-up thoughts. Whose hand do we have up there? No?
I can comment on.
Okay. While we're waiting for people to signify their intention to be part of this, either via question or via comment, let's have Dr. Akin Fapohunda respond to Dad Jonathan Sunday Akuns. They both seem to believe that we can even do this constitutional thing overnight.
Thank you very much. I support my brother's opinion. In fact, after Midwest region was created in 1964, so there was already core states to be created. There was Middle Belt to be created again. There was Williams Commission that had the mandate of addressing the feelings of the minorities. The report was ready on what to do with the minority to give them their autonomy. It was not taken in 1960 because they said, don't let us delay independence, okay? Let's go independent way, and the new government can resolve it. But the stumbling block was the Northern Region government. Up till now, they don't recognize the Middle Belt as an entity, even 2026. Whereas JS Taka and Co., all those periods, they wanted a region of their own. And it was, Awolowo supported it, but the NPC opposed it. It's the same reason why the Fulani North is against even restructuring now. They want status quo to remain unitary the way they want it. It also just played to their hand by this thing. It suited them very well to just have unitary government. If Ironsi was smart, he would not have done it at all. But we are paying on the mistakes of the 1966 coup, which was not intentional, but it was the desire of the North to have unitary government and where they will be in control. And we cannot be subjected for this for forever. So, as has been said, the process for getting it done has been outlined by my brother. Leave suspension on the constitution, and then take amendments for regions that want to be autonomous. We were 4 regions. It was supposed to be 6 regions if you had core state and you have middle belt. We can now have 10 regions, but based on organic consultation of the people and their own desire. And they be autonomous. Can we imagine Western region was only free 1954 to 1959 under Awolowo. 4 or 5 years of Awolowo's governor, it was we are enjoying up to today in Western region. It's what we have. If others were not, and East was doing well, North was doing well too at that time. If you are continued on that individual, do things the way you want, we will have made so much progress and there will be so much civility in affairs of things. But this where you have to fight and kill people to come and occupy Aso Rock in Abuja, no matter what happened, we will never, another coup will come. Let me say so. Another coup will come. If you don't give this a chance, you are giving violence the opportunity. That's just the truth. Do I like to die? No, I want to die on my bed. But people will be aggrieved when they see you going with convoy of SUVs and they cannot eat. It will happen. It will happen with the tax regime now. It will happen. If they really succeed in bringing 50 million under tax net, 60 million under tax net, 100 million under tax net, woe betide anybody who is riding SUVs on the road with somebody's tax. Woe betide them. So why not do something now? Let's lower the temperature, decentralized government. The state governors are emperors. They are not governors at all. Things have to change. Governors are not governors. They are just administrators like the old white people. They are not, they do one line vote. Wike said if pay for all people who run for election. Is that an election? He says to himself that he pay for all the people. That's why he want them to now be under him. Is that a democracy? It will lead Osun State and River.
Yes, if I am to put it, it's not basically constitution, but probity in public office. If there will be probity, accountability in public office, this nation will do very well. You talk about power. People are not complaining today that they are paying heavy bills, but they are complaining that after paying heavy bills, they don't see the light. So if people pay tax, if people contribute to the nation and see the work and see it being utilized and well accounted for, Nigerians will be ready to do that. And I want to say this today that some people have made this comment to my hearing that Nigerians are docile. And what gives you power is the law. It is high time every Nigerian begin to know what his right is and fight for your right. I've seen this over and over. Be ready to challenge the government based on the constitutional framework. Be ready to criticize the government. I know what happened one day when Banex Plaza was locked by the military. I came there and interviewed the traders selling outside, and they told me what transpired. And I discovered that these people didn't do anything. I called the few people I could call. And I went to the office of the Chief of Army Staff. I went to the office of the Senate President. They said they've gone to the National Assembly, to the House of Rep. They've passed the rule that this place should be locked, should be unlocked. And the army refused. And within 24 hours, they opened the place. The management came to my hospital. The MD flew from Lagos to come to Abuja to appreciate the effort that they've reached their wit end. He gave me a very strong hosting in Lagos thereafter. Now, what am I saying? We must not sit idle in what we have a stake in. We all have stake in this nation. If the presidency is not doing what should be done, let us come out openly and condemn it. We are not going to take extrajudicial measures, but let's come openly and condemn it. Anything you can do. I registered an NGO specially to fight against injustice in the nation. And that's what I was using to write. So what pains me, I was in police station the other day, saw how people were being arrested, and I have to say, these are people that did nothing. They did not even know they have some fundamental human rights. And these are all that we all have the freedom to, or the liberty to know if we want to know. So let Nigerians begin to question their governors, those that have the capacity. Question the local government chairman, question your councillors, question those people that are living more than what they should do. If we do that, I was shocked to know that we have laws covering so many things. But those laws are not being applied. So that's my advice to Nigeria. And let the younger one know that there is hope for this nation. The people holding us bound cannot continue for long. As we all begin to agitate, the agitation can develop into a crescendo that they cannot keep quiet over again, and they will be forced to make a change. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. D.N. Okechukwu. Before I come back to the studio, I want to take the closing thought of Dad Jonathan Sunday Akuns. Dad Jonathan Sunday Akuns, the hope for this country is in the sitting arrangement between me and Dr. Akin Fapohunda. If we can talk, we can always get it better. It wasn't like this when I met or when Dr. Akin Fapohunda met me. We met on the issue of Nigeria. It was on war front, and today, when he thought of somebody to call on the issue of Nigeria, he reached out to me, and I became restless. And I believe that I have delivered the assignment he gave me on behalf of Nigerians, you know, to the warmth of his heart. Your closing thoughts, sir.
Thank you very much. I'm pessimistically optimistic. Afghanistan still exists up to today. Syria exists. Sudan exists. Since 1962, Congo still exists. People with refugees moving to this area, they move to that area. It still exists. So if we don't do what is right, in fact, Nigeria will be a theater now like Afghanistan. In Afghanistan, the Russians occupied it for 20 years. Then the UK, the US brought Mujahideen and armed them. America occupied it for under 20 years. Then they left. Trump might occupy Nigeria too now because we didn't manage the affair properly. We didn't. So we can become a theater now the way Sudan is, the way Congo is, the way Afghanistan has been. There is no alternative now. We live, people are still marrying and getting children in Afghanistan up till now. They are doing the same thing in Syria. This is what will be. I cannot go to my state from now, Osun State. I couldn't go for almost 2 years because you can't go to Lokoja without your heart coming out from your throat of kidnapping. To go by here now, how much do you go to Lagos, then by road again to Ilesha? I used to live here, Abuja, 2 p.m. I would drive alone to my state and I'll come back on my own. Can anybody try it now? So we can't. Let's not pretend that things are good. We need to cry out to our leaders. Impunity of 65 brought the bloodshed of 1966. Impunity of Onanuga and Co. say everything is good, everything is good, everything is good, everything is good. The president is negotiating loans, negotiating the UAE balance and everything. That impunity will lead to madness. We need to halt the next election and reconfigure Nigeria properly. We don't have political parties now. Parties are dead. Which party? We don't. This election, the Scotland put 2 people there. I don't know my chair. Okay, they are voting in Abuja now. Who is the chairman of my local government? I don't know him. Has he come for me to vote up to now? Except 1 or 2 posters on the street of Gwarin Park. Who is the chairman of Abuja Council? All the roads in Galadima are bad. The roads in Kukah are bad. The roads in Kukah are bad. Wike is just doing major roads in town, awarding big contracts. What are we talking about? Honestly, my heart is just, and I've had the report. Those Apostolic are just talking because they see me on TV all the time. They see me now, I write news on all the time. They say, oh, he's just talking. Let him be talking, it's harmless. But I'm saying I'm harmless as an individual, but some people have guns. And things have to change. If we don't change now, we go to the next election the way we are going now. In fact, but for this meeting now, I've given up talking because I've said enough. I've said enough to the country. President Tinubu should just wind up in October 1 and a new constitution. He will be respected as a leader of Nigeria if you have a reform. This, my brother's reconciliation, is to be a small track of what we are saying. They have reconciliation all the time, you understand? But we need to reconcile the citizens with the government. Citizens are alienated from the government totally, or you are looking for your own chance to become a minister, like Mokri and Co. To go and eat too. Not for service. You must connect citizens with the governors. Then we have, I'm going to pay tax now, but I'm going to be causing the tax when I pay it. I will not pay properly.
Thank you so much, Dr. Akin Fapohunda. That's a typical Ijesha man for you. Over to Da Jonathan Sunday Akuns, your final thought in 2 minutes, sir.
Thank you very much. The events of 1966 turned the labors of our heroes that planted a seed for unity into a burden upon the nation.
I want to say that I stand my ground on the fact that an invasion will not help Nigeria. I am not saying that the Americans can keep striking those who are our problem. Let them keep striking, but I wouldn't want them to tamper with our democracy as we have it in place. Our pride as citizens is to decide at the next election who our leaders will be. But like you have heard, it's important that we do the right thing before the election, which is to have a chronicle of union that properly define the nation and define who the citizens are. Now I see the grant to Pastor Buba Johnson, who will give the vote of thanks. Pastor Buba Johnson, over to you. Okay, I, on behalf of the Apostolic Roundtable, appreciate each and everyone who has been part of this program. Thank you so much to all our guests, Dr. D.N. Okechukwu, thank you so much. Dr. Akin Fapohunda, thank you so much. And Da Jonathan Sunday Akuns, thank you so very much. I trust that when next week